everyone. Welcome to Breakthrough Conversations. I am the host, Danielle Perry. And if you are back, that means you are ready to see part 2 of Lynn's episode titled Raising a Son Challenged by Autism. If you haven't seen part 1, go ahead and check it out. In the meantime, here is part 2. Be blessed.
So yeah. That's why I don't say he has it. I say he's challenged by it.
Okay. Talk to us about your other children. Christian. Fast forward to Sydney.
Okay.
Sydney is born how much longer after Christian?
Sydney and Christian are they're a year apart.
They're a year apart.
They are.
That's why they're 2 peas in a pot.
Yes. But their birthdays are spread apart. So okay. Christian will be 23.
Okay.
In March, and then Sydney will turn 22 in November.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
They are definitely 2 peas in a pot.
Yes, they are. Yes, and that's wonderful. I love seeing their relationship. I think it's wonderful.
Hilarious.
Did you have any fears when you got pregnant with Sydney?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So at this point, you're settled in as far as you have 4 kids now as far as a blended family. You get pregnant with Sydney. At this point, you're not really thinking about what if with Sydney.
No. And if it was very fleeting.
Okay.
At that point, it was more when I did get pregnant again with Sid, it was more like, God, look, I need a girl.
Right. 4 boys.
It's too much testosterone in this house. Okay. I need a girl. I need some calmness in this house. I need you to bring this testosterone level down.
Right.
Let's please, I do not want any more boys. Now, I wanted a boy with Chris. Danté wanted a girl.
Okay.
And I was like, nah, I want a boy.
Okay.
I want a boy. Boys love their mommies. Boys love their mommies. And they do. But then, they love other girls at a period of time. And it's like, whatever. I'm not the best thing since sliced bread anymore. So yeah, by then it was like, God, we look a little more estrogen in this house. So yeah.
So Sydney's born. What's the age difference between Justin and Christian?
So it's 3 years. Yeah, it's 3 years between Justin and Christian, and then it's 4, 5, because the J and the twins will be 26. So it's 5 years between them and Sid.
Okay. Talk to us about their not their interactions only, but were they overprotective of Justin?
I think as they have gotten older, they're overprotective of Justin. So the twins live with their mother, and they came over on the weekends. So we're a blended family. We were always a blended family on the weekend.
Okay.
I know that Christian is protective of Justin. Christian is.
Okay.
He's very protective of Justin. He would remember, because Justin was bullied in school. So he would remember Justin being bullied in school, and he couldn't do anything about it because, of course, he's younger than him.
Did they attend the same school?
For a little bit.
Okay.
But he more so remembers it when Justin started going to middle school. I was able to navigate what schools they went to.
Okay.
And so they went to school where a friend of mine was the assistant principal. Justin didn't go, I think, till maybe like the 3rd grade. Chris and Sydney were at the same school.
Okay.
For the longest. And then, so Justin wasn't bullied there because, of course, Auntie J is at the school. Aunt JL is there. But when Justin went to middle school, that Justin was bullied then, and so Christian remembers that.
Okay.
And so, but Christian is more protective of Justin than, well, they all are. They kind of all are, but in their own ways.
In their own ways, yeah.
So when it was time for college, I remember asking the twins, what did you think about Justin going to school with them? And so Juwan was the one that said he didn't feel comfortable with it because he felt like he would have to protect Justin a lot. He would have to look out for him, and he didn't want to get in trouble at school, having fights, having to overlook his brother. And I respected that. Of course you got to respect that. You want to go to school, you want to have a good college experience. And so Jay stayed local, but then Jay did not finish school like everybody else. So Chris is more protective, and Taiwan is more protective as it relates to how Justin wants to dress sometimes, because Justin has his own style. He does. He has his own style.
Taiwan want to make sure he's looking
nice. They all want to make sure that his outfit is more coordinated. It's a lot more coordinated, and they have the responsibility. They said they would not do this anymore,
right?
But when Justin is picking out his clothes, of course, generally I'm taking him. But it's like, you're a grown man now.
Right.
I don't think it's okay for you to be going with your mom to pick out your clothes. That's your siblings' responsibility.
Exactly.
Now I'm putting that on you all.
Exactly.
And their experience with Justin is like, Ma, we're not gonna do it unless you come to the store with us. We're not. So so I will go to the store. I will be in the store. But you still have to help your brother pick out the clothes.
Right,
so, because I'm not doing that anymore. So they're all like kind of protective in that realm. Okay. Like, yeah. Jay, we got to make sure your fit is right. Because you're only 25, not 50.
Hilarious.
So yes, and as well as spending his money, because sometimes he could just he can be a little
tight.
No, he could be real
loose
free with it. Real free with it. Like, he's real free with it sometimes. But they are aware of the fact that if something happens to me and Dad, and we cannot take Justin, we can't take care of Justin anymore. They are all aware that they will have to, at some point look out for him, and they all know that, and they are protective of him in that aspect. So that makes me feel good because, they that tribe is a hilarious bunch of kids. I'm telling you.
I just love to see your children, because watching them, I think when I first started coming to Living Waters, I want to say Juwan and Taiwan were probably maybe in 5th grade, maybe around there, or 6th grade.
Really?
Okay, so I started coming. Let me see. 2005 is when I started coming.
That's
so that's about right.
Yeah, that's probably about right. Because Sydney was born in 2000, so yeah.
Wow, Sydney. Wow. Okay, so as I've just watched their interactions over the years, first of all, I didn't know that you weren't Taiwan and Juwan's biological mother for a long time, because of just how you entreated them and how they entreated you.
Okay.
On top of that, seeing their interactions with Sydney, Christian, and Justin, it was as if they all grew up in the same household.
Okay.
So I just love their relationships with each other, and then the twins' relationship with you, because you would never know that you're a blended family.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask that question about the overprotectiveness.
Oh yeah.
Because I would not have been surprised by the fact that you shared Yes, absolutely. They're overprotective because of how close they just
Yeah.
seem. You know what I mean? So,
Well, we there's no difference. That's one. And it's actually PL who affectionately named them the Root Tribe.
okay.
It is. He's the one that named them that.
Mm-hmm.
But but I always instilled in them a tribe sticks together.
Mm-hmm.
A tribe sticks together.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so that was something that I instilled in them. From the time they were younger. What you guys are called the Root Tribe. What does a tribe do? A tribe sticks together. A tribe sticks together. So they're the group that we could be at a family gathering and they will talk to all of their family members, but they are the group they will pull off, and it will be those five sitting down,
Wow.
talking and laughing amongst one another.
Wow.
It's never fails.
I love that.
It never fails. That's how they are.
I love
that's
that.
just how they are, and I'm grateful for that.
Yes.
But that's also how I was raised.
Okay.
My stepmother she never said I was her stepdaughter. She never said that about me or my sister. She would, whenever she introduced me, she would say, "This is my daughter." And I was raised with blended siblings, and we never called each other stepsister, stepbrother. We never did that. And so I took that cue from her, and raised my kids that way. They all call me mom. I never called them my stepsons. They are my sons. Whenever I thought about whenever I look at the finances of our family, I always said I had 5 kids. I never said I had 3. And I have 2 stepchildren. I never said that. I always said I had 5 kids. Whenever I looked at our finances, it was always, how am I managing my finances for 5 children?
For 5 children.
What am I doing for 5 children? And I still kind of do that, you know, when I'm like, all right, what am I about for everybody? And then I realize, oh, they grown. I don't have to do this.
Exactly. It is amazing, though, to know that, like, Justin, Tyrone, and Juwan are 25.
Yes,
like, what
25 years
in the
old.
world?
They're going to be 26 this year.
Wow.
26 years old.
Wow.
And I believe it.
So talk to us about some of the misconceptions that people have about children that are challenged with autism, even about adults, because Justin is now an adult. What are some of the misconceptions that you've noticed that people have?
I don't really know. You know, I know that Justin was not always, I think for us in our household, what we tried to do was always raise Justin with some level of normalcy, right? And the way I always looked at it with Justin was, Jay, you know, I know that you are challenged by autism. And because he wasn't verbal, and even though he wasn't high functioning, he was still functioning. And so for him, I would always say, Justin, you know, even you might be challenged by autism, but at the end of the day, you're still expected to be a productive member of society. You still are expected to get a high school diploma, you know, go to work, you know, be a contributing member of society. And so, you know, people might look at you and notice that there's some quirkiness about you, but yeah. So Justin wasn't always given, like, I guess to say a pass just because he was challenged by autism. He wasn't given that kind of pass like that. You getting screamed on just like everybody else. You getting a punishment just like everybody else. You know, like, it wasn't that. Now, when it came to, so I feel like when it came to my grandmother and my mom, that they would do that. You know, they would do those types of things, that they would say, you know, well, he's challenged, by autism, this and that. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there are some delays and some things like that. And again,
Mm-hmm.
there was some quirkiness, but in our house, Justin, was treated just like everybody else. So, he had to wash the dishes. You got to clean your room.
Mm-hmm.
You have your responsibilities
Mm-hmm.
just like everybody else. So I think in that aspect, especially where Justin falls,
Mm-hmm.
which is in the middle of the
Mm-hmm.
spectrum,
Mm-hmm.
that they still he still has responsibilities. They can
Mm-hmm.
still perform. And that was a major thing for me. I remember because Justin writes so meticulously,
Mm-hmm.
he writes slower.
Okay.
And I remember a, a one of his teachers, a co-teacher, um, that was helping out in the classroom. She came, like, she wrote the answers. It's another funny moment. She wrote the answers for Justin,
Mm-hmm.
to write when he came home.
Mm-hmm.
And so whenever I would sit down and help him with his homework, it wasn't always the best. I just wasn't always the best
Mm-hmm.
in handling all of the situations with Justin.
Mm-hmm.
But we would do his homework and I would sit down and we would have to chunk it out. And
Mm-hmm.
I would look for the answer, but I would tell him, okay, the answer to the question is in this area.
Mm-hmm.
You read the question and then read this area right here and I'll
Mm-hmm.
come back
Yeah.
and you'll tell me what the answer
Mm-hmm.
is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, this lady wrote all the answers down.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's sitting. So in our house, and I don't know why I did this. I did it because my dad did it to me. You come home, you do your homework. That's the first thing you do. You come home, you do your homework. So we're sitting there, he's doing his homework, and I noticed that he's writing the answers down. He's not asking me for any assistance. So
Okay.
I'm like, oh, okay, well, what's going on here?
Right.
Did this lady write the answers for you? So I'm saying, are these the answers?
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, yes, Miss whoever wrote them down, and she told me to just copy them. I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely not. And I took the paper and I ripped it up. Oh, he was so mad with me. He was muy caliente.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, Justin, no, you know how to read.
Right.
You know how to read. You know how to get the answer. It might take us a little longer.
Yeah.
But what you're not going to do is be lazy about your work.
That's right.
And I'm not going to let somebody make you lazy about your work.
Mm-hmm.
No. You're going to read this section.
Mm-hmm.
What is the answer to that question?
Yeah.
And he figured it out. And I was like, no, Justin, you got to learn on your own.
That's right.
Like, you can't let people, just because you have a challenge doesn't mean that you allow people to cripple you.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't think you're able to rise to the occasion.
Mm-hmm.
And I happened to see that person in the grocery store. I saw that teacher in the grocery store. And I told her, I said, look, I know you're trying to help Justin, but I need him to find the answer on his own. And she said she did it because he writes slow. He writes slow. And I said, well, I know that about him. I do. I know that. And, but still, he needs to find the answers on his own.
So she was just trying to speed up the process.
Right. So she was, and I get it because he is meticulous. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't move at a quicker rate than like maybe you and I, where something coming like this and we're doing this and we're on to the next. Jay still might be there. He might. But, you have to exercise. I'm learning with him, you have to exercise some every day. I'm exercising more patience, because this is him.
Yeah. And I admire that patience because I've never seen you. I've never just seen you like complain or seem like the type of mom that is like, oh, Justin, just in my observations.
Really?
Not that I see you.
It's not always like that.
I was going to say, not that I see you 24/7 or anything like that, but I mean, even in just, again, just observing, because sometimes you can kind of sense when, something's going on with a parent and a child in their relationship, but I've just never sensed that kind of like, oh my gosh, However, this does lead me to my next question.
Okay.
And that is, how have you ever questioned God and said, God, why?
Like, why did he do this?
Why did you allow my child to be born this way?
I don't know if I've asked that question. I can't say, God, why did you do this? To just, I might have said,
not of course, why did you do this, but more so, kind of like God allowing Justin to be born that way, because we know that God has a purpose behind just everything that he does, right? So it's a question of, like, let's say when you were in that season of just things were just really hard, when he was younger, was it ever a like, why is this happening to me type of question? I mean, and if that's never been a question, I ain't gonna force it. But
I don't think that was a question of why is this happening to me. I think because I felt the shame of it, and I felt like, why this is happening, so I felt like it was more of the result, as a punishment of the result that I had did.
Okay.
And if anything, it was more like it was more like, you did this, meaning me. You did this to him. This is what you did to him as a result of not doing what you were supposed to be doing, of not living the way you were supposed to be living, that, and, so it was more of a guilt thing.
Okay.
For a long time. When I say I'm saying like years.
So at what point did you no longer have that guilt? And what caused you to no longer have that guilt?
So I will say that it was waning. It was like getting smaller and smaller. And the reason why was because, I just have a good support system. I have a wonderful husband who I oftentimes chew ears off and will do all of that. I will say, like, his 21st birthday is when I really got the breakthrough.
Okay.
And that's when I attempted that blog in my first.
Okay.
I attempted to, do a blog.
I remember that.
Yeah, you remember that? And I only wrote like 4 posts, but but Justin's Justice was the first one, and that was the breakthrough. Because when I found out I was having Justin, I was just going through so much, and I knew that I didn't want to abort Justin. I couldn't bring myself to do it. But I kept asking to have a miscarriage. I remember that. Wow. I kept saying, God, can we just have a miscarriage? Can we just have a miscarriage? Can we can you just take this baby from me? Because I don't want to be in this situation. And I remember, your first visit, when they do your first visit, they do a sonogram, and they, want to hear the baby's heartbeat and all of that other stuff. And I remember they were like looking for his heartbeat, and they couldn't find it. They could not find it.
So you said, maybe this is
And
it.
I was like, oh my gosh, like, what is going on? Like, they could not find it for it seemed like forever. They could not find it. And then they found it, and tears just came out my eyes. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, and then I just knew, like, you're in this one, and you're going to have this baby. And, and so they give you this bag, and I probably am getting ready to tear up now. Thank you for the tissues. So they give you this bag, and they give you a book of baby names. And so I'm going through the names and everything, and they tell you like what they mean and all of that stuff. And I knew that if it was a girl, I was going to name her Sasha. I was adamant about that. But I stumbled on the name Justin, and it said Justin means justice. And I was like, I'm naming him Justin because one day he's going to have justice. One day, out of this entire situation, he is going to have justice. You know, this isn't the best situation for him to be born into, but he's going to have it. And I remember as I was thinking about the fact that when he was turning 21, and I was just sitting there and I was thinking about, I was looking for this one day to be able to point fingers at people and say, you know, I did it on my own, and you know, whatever, nana boo boos type of thing. And I had just looked at, from his birth up until that very moment, how he actually had justice, and he had this community of people from the time he was born, from like my family supporting me, my girlfriends. I mean, my girlfriends had the best support system with my girlfriends. Like when I had to go to school, I had to go back to school for my job, and my girlfriends would come and pick him up. They would take a night and from school. They would pick him up from the caregiver who lived down the street from us, and go into the house and stay there until I came home. And then his godmother would pick him up. Sister Felicia is Justin's godmother. Okay. And she would pick him up on Friday from Miss Rita, and she would keep him until Saturday morning and bring him home from that until meeting my husband and then living waters. And I just remember that how he honestly had gotten justice throughout his entire life. It wasn't this big moment that I needed to have. It wasn't this big moment that I needed to look back on people and like shake my finger at. But it was like, it really was God giving him justice throughout his life. And that day was like, and I just had tears in his eyes. Every year for his birthday, I cry. I do.
No surprise.
Like every year for his birthday, I sit there and I cry and I look at him and I say how proud I am, and just what he's accomplished and what he's gone through, and you know, just all of that. But I look at the situation that he was born into and how God has miraculously like turned it out for his good, and I am like amazed. I am so amazed at it. Like, I could never have imagined Justin getting the justice that he has gotten over his lifetime. I could not have imagined that, because what I imagined would have been just one day, but it's been like throughout his entire life since he's been here. And and that was the moment where I was like, you know what? Justin really has gotten justice. Like, he has, even up until now for his job. You know, even up until now for his job. His job came like, it was a long road, but that was God, like, it was like, yeah, okay, you want to act up? Okay, we're going to make him sit home for 5 years. And I cried and boo-hoo, what is going to happen? Oh my God, what's going to happen to him? How is all of that? And then one day, this job came up, and we were like, Justin. Again, Justin gives these quirky answers. He gives these quirky answers that you wouldn't really expect him to do. And yeah, he gave this quirky answer. And then I was like, look, Jay, look, we gotta go with this one now, dude. And they were gonna put him on the night shift, and Danté was like, oh my gosh, what is that? Da 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 da. And then it turned out they put him on the day shift, and Justin has been self-employed. He's not self-employed, but he's been employed for 2 years. And the amount of money that he has in 2 years. The amount of money this brother has in his banks for 2 years. It's like, can you give mom some money?
Right.
Remember, I raised you for these. Yes.
So, I love it.
So yeah,
that's beautiful though.
The eye-opening breakthrough was when he turned 21. Yeah,
that's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
So we've talked about a lot. What do you love about being Justin's mom?
Oh, so much. He is hilarious. When I say he's funny, he really is. But you know what? I love Justin's. He's funny. He is. He's really, really funny. I love how you don't really have to say a lot to Justin too. Justin he takes initiative as well. You wouldn't think that about him, but he does. He will see things and he will just jump in there and do it. That I like that about him. I like how he has a giving heart. Sometimes I have to be like, nah, no. Absolutely not. No. Okay, stop. Yeah. But he has a giving heart. It's so much to love about him. It really is. I love how he's committed to being single right now. That part is funny. When I ask him, like, do you think you want to have a girlfriend? Do you think about that? Because there are certain things you just ask, like, how are you feeling at this certain point? And he's committed to it. He's like, no, I'm good. I'm like, all right, Jay, okay. And it was like, and I remember one time, again, it's funny because I said, well, do you think, do you think you're not attractive? Is that why he was like, no, it's not that. I was like, okay, brother.
I know I look good.
He was like, no, it's not that. I was like, I'm just checking bases, sir.
Right.
Like, I'm just asking, just trying to figure where you are. He was very quick about that one. No, I don't think it's that. Okay. All right. Let's just end this conversation.
I love it.
Yes. So,
but you're right about Justin being sweet and kind-hearted. I remember there was this season, like after every service, he would just come and give me a hug. And I think he did it with some of the other ladies in the church. He'll just give us hugs after every Sunday.
Yeah.
I was like, Justin, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
And he made sure, like, I'm gonna give you a hug. Like, I was like, oh, he coming. He about to come give me this hug. But it was just so sweet. And I saw a different side of him.
Okay.
So this is my last question for you.
Oh, I'm having such a good time.
This has been a great conversation.
It has.
It really has.
I'm having a wonderful time.
Yeah, it really
okay.
has.
All right. Let's make it count.
I think this is the most I've laughed.
Really?
Yes.
I'll make
during
you
the conversation.
laugh now.
I love it. I just want you to give advice to not only mothers but fathers out there too who are raising children that are challenged with autism. Maybe they have adult children now as well that have autism. Just give them some advice and some encouragement.
Some advice and encouragement. Stick with it. Well, you can't go anywhere really, but it gets better. I will say that it actually does get better, and you will have breakthroughs. It just gets better. I know that there are moments where it seems like, oh my gosh, like what is going to happen? Like, how is this going to work for my child? Like, what's going to happen to him or what's going to happen to her? But it will work itself out. And your child, there will be moments where your child will actually surprise you. They are. There was a moment. I worked for Baltimore City Public Schools, and Justin was going for a job interview for like an internship program, and they asked all of the students in there, if you could be an animal, what would you be? Right. Mm-hmm. And I had taken the students there. Mm-hmm. So they were saying lions, they were saying this, they were saying that. And Justin said he would be a wolf. Mm-hmm. Right. Now, me, I'm like, a wolf. And I was like, mm-hmm. oh my gosh, Justin, why would you say that? Mm-hmm. Like, why would you say you would be a wolf? And his response was, because wolves are leaders of the pack.
Wow. Love it. I love it.
Shut your mouth. That is exactly what I said to myself in my head. You need to shut your mouth. Because this boy got it.
Wow.
I was blown away. And so I really feel like there are moments where your child is going to be doing things and you are going to shake your head like, what in the world just happened? Or how did you come? How? Like, just how did you come up with that? But I'm telling you, through these steps and through these moments, your child will surprise you, and they will, and in those surprising moments, your child is letting you know, I'm good. And you have to savor those moments. You do. You have to savor those moments and know that they are, you got to hang on to those moments so that when it is when you're sitting there with oh my goodness, you can look back on that and be like, you know what? Yeah, it's not great right now.
Yeah.
But remember that moment, and remember that moment when, like, oh, they did such and such, or they caught this, or they caught that, and you can ride it out and say they're gonna be good. Like right now, like Jay is really good. You know, like he's really good. Now there are still moments where it's like, yeah, brother, that wasn't the right one to do, or you know, and you gotta give them room to grow too.
Yeah.
You do. You have to give them room to grow. You have to give them room to figure out as Justin is an adult now. You know, it's no more, no, you can't do this, you can't do that. It's more of, okay, what's your opinion? What do you think about it? You know, those kinds of things. Because at the end of the day, you're growing with your child. You just are. You're learning with them. You're trying to figure it out with them. And also have a strong community that you can be like, you know, vent to, and you can, and they can pray with you. You know, there are days when Minister Nadia has definitely prayed me through some situations, you know, because I would be like, I don't even know. I don't know what's going to happen to him. Like, what, that was my greatest fear. What is going to happen to him? What's going to happen to Jay? How is he going to be able to navigate these moments if he's doing this right now? And then now I look back on those moments and I might be like, remember when Justin did such and such? Or there are moments where I'll tell Danté, that's your son. He's not my kid today. I don't care what you say. That's your kid. Please go talk to your kid about that. How he should not be doing that. You know, those kinds of things. I'm thinking of the moment where he didn't wash his hands. He said to me, I said, "You're not even washing your hands. I used hand sanitizer. It's 99% effective." Well, that 1%, go wash your hands.
Justin, I love it.
And that's the quirk. That's the hilarious part of him. Like,
I love it.
And then I just say to Danté, did you just hear your son? Can you please have a conversation with him? So yeah, just know that you're growing, have a support system. They are going to be fine. It is going to work itself. It is all going to work itself out for the good. And then just like my testimony, you're going to have a testimony.
Yes, I love it. Yeah. Thank you so much for being on this podcast and sharing your story.
Well, thank you for having me.
but no, seriously, thank you. Because there may be parents out there who may not want to be open and honest about their experiences.
Absolutely.
Sometimes raising their children.
It's great.
Yeah.
Sometimes your kid is doing things you cannot explain.
Yeah.
And you can't. You don't have an answer for it. You don't. And it's in those moments that you feel like I'm lost. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But it's in that moment that you have to reach out.
That's right.
You do.
That's right.
Or else. Or You got to reach out. You got to. I'll tell you this one last thing, and then I will be done. I remember there was a moment in us, in our relationship, Justin, where he was just doing so much. He was doing so much. I couldn't explain it, and it was overwhelming. It was overwhelming to me. And Danté is a police officer, and where we lived before our house now, it wasn't a good moment. And when Danté would come home, the first thing he would do is he would take his gun off and he would put it up on this shelf up far in the house. And it was just a really bad moment with Justin. I don't know if I can't remember if I might have spanked him or just screamed on him or something. It was just really bad. And I remember going upstairs and I was just sitting there. And I was just sitting there. And I was like, this is too much. Like it's really there. And I snuck downstairs. Like I actually did. I was sneaking downstairs. And I remember I got Danté's gun off the shelf. And I went back upstairs and I put it on the bed and I sat there and I kept staring at it. I kept staring at the gun. And my thinking was I can't hurt Justin. I cannot hurt him. He's my son. I need to take myself out because this moment, this is how overwhelming the moment was.
Wow.
It was overwhelming. And I just sat there and I kept looking at the gun. I just kept looking at it. And I remember, and I called Danté upstairs. I called him upstairs. And he comes upstairs and he's looking and he's like, why is my gun on the bed? And I told him, I was like, this situation with Justin is overwhelming. It's overwhelming. He's doing things. I can't explain it. And I don't always have the patience with him like I should. And I just felt like, I asked him to take it. That's what I did. When he came and said, I was like, you need to take this. But he asked me, why is it on the bed? And I was telling him it was overwhelming. It was just too much for me. And I don't want to hurt Justin. I don't want to hurt him. And I feel like I needed to take myself out before I do something to my child.
Wow.
And he, of course, the husband that I have, he was like, you cannot do that. I know it's overwhelming with him, but you can't do this. It's going to get better. And Danté's answer has always been, it's going to get better. Now, when he would say that, it would annoy me. It would, because it would just, I'm a planner. I don't want to hear it's just going to get better.
Right.
How is it going to get better?
Yeah.
But he that's always been his stance. Don't worry, it's going to get better. And he's never wavered from that, So in those moments, and I had to go have conversations with girlfriends. Again, I never went to a support group. I probably should have then, but I just never did. But I had a good support system. you know, and it is going to be those moments where it's just going to be overwhelming, but you got to go back to the word. I wasn't always going to the word in that moment, but you do have to go deeper into the word. You probably should do a support system. You probably should go to therapy, you know, but again, it's going to get better. It is. I promise you that it will definitely get better. If you stick with it, it will get better. And yeah. And then you'll have a story just like I would.
Wow. Well, thank you so much again for sharing.
Absolutely.
For sharing. And I want to thank everyone who has tuned in to this episode. I don't know about you guys, but I hope somebody out there is truly encouraged.
Yes.
I really do. Just listening to her story, hearing things that I didn't know, I'm definitely like, wow. wow. And the center of it all has always been God.
Yes.
So I hope that moms and dads and even siblings out there are encouraged and know that as long as you have God first, no matter what the challenge is, it's going to work.
Yeah.
God works all things together for our good because we love him and we're called according to his purpose.
Absolutely.
So be encouraged. Thank you so much again for tuning into this episode. If there's anything that you enjoyed about this episode, leave it in the comment section. Hit like, hit share. We love you. Well, I love you.
I love you too. Absolutely.
We love you.
We love you.
We love you. And be blessed and have a wonderful day.